Great. Okay. So I put down my blanket just for a little bit more padding. I don't know if you want to use your blanket in that way today. Last week we had it rolled up, but I'm going to put it down for more padding. And then we'll use our strap. And I'm going to grab the 2 blocks to the right and left. If you want to get yourself in a comfortable seated position, we'll start here, go to our backs, and then hopefully get into just a couple of standing things. And I think we'll work some on opening the chest. And we had done this thing where we have the hand to the back of the head. So we'll incorporate that. So to start with, just let yourself kind of slump or get comfortable, wiggle around any kind of movements that you feel like you need. You can let even the chin drop to the chest and let the shoulders be heavy. And of course, you can have your eyes open or closed. Just take a moment to feel how your body's feeling this morning. Like for instance, I woke up with kind of a stiff collarbone. Maybe notice how your morning is going or day is going so far. I've been teaching a lot at in the middle school, so I've been talking about how our emotions go up and down, up and down, and up and down, and different tools and strategies for trying to be more even and not let ourselves be pulled in those 2 different directions. And it's just quick observing and acknowledging can be a really useful tool. As you feel your body in contact with the floor, maybe where your hands are lying, any warmth or coolness, to continue to orient yourself. And then watching how naturally as you inhale and exhale, your body moves. Both the lift and descend of the belly and the chest and the shoulders. And then we'll start to dramatize that lift and movement through a version of cat-cow. As you're inhaling, just allow the chest to come forward and maybe the chin to lift a little bit, and exhale, chin to the chest. You could try rounding some. Really slowly and gently making these itty bitty mini cat-cows with the breath. Maybe allowing the heaviness of the head to drop the chin to the chest and round more. And actively lifting through the sternum as you inhale to squeeze the shoulder blades together and let the head rock back. In your own time, making this as dynamic as you'd like. It might feel good to really try and squeeze the shoulder blades together, let the head come back, and even take an extra breath or so there. Or the other way. We'll just use our breath. The bigger the inhale, maybe the more you're coming forward or back. Let the breath be what drives the action. And we'll stay doing this for another few moments. One or two more. And then slowly making your way back to that central spine, where you can again let the chin drop to the chest. And then we'll reach the arms up and just take a nice little morning stretch. So you can twist and reach. You try to yawn. Morning stretch. And then we're going to interlace the fingers behind the skull and just let the head pressing into the interlaced fingers peel the elbows open. And while you're here, still feeling an inhale lift to the chest, but then as you exhale, see if you can actively drop the shoulder blades down the back, and that might change your back bend a little bit. So we'll let the chest rise, inhale. And then as you exhale, feel the shoulder blades and the tailbone tuck. Again, a sense of opening underneath the armpits. See if you can keep the jaw and tongue soft. This doesn't have to be a big back bend. Just working on opening underneath the armpits, collarbones. One more breath. And then we're going to take the right hand and claw to the left side of the skull. And let the left arm drop down. Just let that left arm be nice and loose and a slight bit of pressure on the skull. Trying to feel the neck, maybe even down the arm, get some length. If it feels okay for your neck, you can start to turn and look down underneath the right armpit towards this floor and then maybe up towards the ceiling, drawing a diagonal line. And there's still that pressure of the skull into the hand and the hand into the skull for some support. After this last rotation of the skull and head, bring your hand or body back to neutral, and then we're going to crawl the right fingertips. I've got my block here. I'm going to start with a hand on the block as I pour to the side. Still holding on to my head. And then I'm going to use my top elbow, this top right elbow, to peel off. Just pausing, 4 or 5 deep breaths. Feeling the right side waist expand. And does not have to be a big side bend. One more breath. And then using the arm to bring the whole spine back to center, where we'll switch, just as carefully setting up as we did on the first side. Following the skull, right arm drops down. Bring the left ear towards the left shoulder. Let that right arm be really floppy. And a little bit of pressure, pushing the hand into the head and the head into the hand. Hopefully the neck feels supported here. And when you're ready, drawing the diagonal line. So for me, this side feels quite a bit different. I was saying my collarbone was tight. So this side is my tight collarbone. It feels quite a bit different than the other one. One or two more rotations. And then right hand towards the floor or block as you pour to the side. Long, deep breaths. Maybe trying to peel that top arm or elbow back some. Last inhale, exhale. We'll push ourselves back up, spine back to neutral. Let the arms come down. These are nice big shoulder rolls. Oh. And you can't hear it, but there's some clicking happening in my shoulders and collarbone. They go one way and then the other. Okay, we'll give the upper body a little bit of a rest. You're welcome to stay up on your prop if you're seated. I'm just going to scoot back a little bit so you can see. We'll bring the legs out in front. And wiggle and shake after our legs were crossed for a while. Go ahead and keep the left leg out, pushing out, and slide and draw that right foot in. And then like you're evening out your hips so you can kind of play with rocking the hips back and forth. We're going to start with square, even hips, and then lifting and twisting to the right. However much of a twist you want. We have lots of options. If you want to cross the right foot over, go right ahead. If you want to take it even wider out to the side, go right ahead. But we're going to start with square hips as we lift and twist. So this will be micro adjusting, drawing that right hip forward, left back to keep square hips for a moment. And then we're going to change, and like you're pushing on a pedal, drive the left foot forward so your hips are really allowed to move and continue to twist, and just see what the difference is there for the spine. Maybe you enjoy one more than the other. Feel free to move around in the neck. You can also make this a little bit more intensive for the core if you want to hover the arms. I've got this wall behind me, so I'm just going to bring my arms up to the cactus shape. And then unwinding. Naturally, the hips will go back to their square, and we'll switch. I'm going to set up as much as I can, bringing that right hip back and left hip forward to keep the hips square, and start twist. And then after about 5 or so counts, I'm going to really push forward with that right leg, let my left hip rock back, and now I'm going to hover my arms. Another 5 breaths. And unwinding. Come on back. And we'll move through the legs again. This time we're going to come forward. You can bring that left foot back into Janu Shirshasana. So turn, and we're going to pour forward. You might want to stay on your prop, or you could come off. You could also lift the heel. I'm going to do that today just to get more of a stretch behind my my leg here. So I'm propping my foot up as I come forward. And slowly you can crawl forward a little bit more, let the head hang. You can support the forehead by resting your elbow on the thigh itself. And stay a little bit longer, 3 more breaths. Walking the hands back up, we'll switch sides. Just letting your body weight coming forward open up the back of the leg. Nice soft thigh. Four more breaths. One more nice inhale, exhale. And we'll walk back up. I'm going to move on to our backs for the next part. And we'll be doing our half happy baby. So if you want your blocks or bolster close as you come back in your strap. I'm going to put my bolster off to the side and bring my blocks to left and right. Okay, once you get down, we'll pause for a moment, whether that's legs extended or knees bent, just to let your body settle on the ground. Feel the shoulders and the head heavy. While you're doing your half happy baby, try to keep the shoulders and the head in contact with the ground as well as the hips, and that's what the blocks are for. I'm going to start by planting the feet, bringing the heels in, and then hugging the right knee into the chest. And roll through the ankle, point and flex. Let those shoulders stay heavy in the back of the head. I'm going to plant my left foot on the block so my whole sacrum and low back stays in contact with the floor. And then I'm going to strap my right foot, knee bent, and just bring that leg a little bit wider than the hip for half happy baby. the shoulders be heavy. Maybe try flexing through the heel a little bit more, tucking the tailbone to press. It kind of feels like you're pushing the sacrum into the ground. Notice if you're clenching in the inner thighs, the toes or the glutes. Just letting the shape do the work for you. If you've got the strap, we're going to take this strap into the left hand. As we turn this into a twist, you can move that block out from underneath the foot. We're going to roll all the way to the left. The legs are kind of in their zigzag pattern. And then we're going to reach the right arm up towards the ceiling and kind of let it flop around. And see if you can start your twist from the shoulder blade, dropping the right arm towards the ground and then peeling the chest open. That might mean that the arm is above the head rather than all the way back off to the side. You want to kick the right leg out using your strap, go right ahead, or keep the knee bent. You can tuck the tailbone back and forth to try and find some more space. Maybe feeling an opening across the chest, the outer edge of the right leg. You can let go of your strap, but keep it in the hand as you bring that right knee back in, lifting and drawing the right arm back across the body. So you're in a little ball on your left side. And then from there, can roll back to center. It's unwinding, so we're ending up in neutral again. And we'll switch sides. Hugging the left knee in. Roll through the ankle. Make decisions about the block or the strap. Then strap the foot or hold on to the foot. Maybe right foot on the block. And we'll find our half happy baby on the left side. Just using the weight of the arm to draw the knee closer to the armpit or the outer edge of the body. Play with flexing the heel a bit more, and then trying to keep both hips on the floor. So if you're finding that you're rolling, flatten out the sacrum by tailbone reaching towards the bottom of your space. And then we'll assist that left leg all the way over for twist. Reach the left arm up. Wiggle, 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 and then the shoulder dropping to the ground initiates the spinal twist. Maybe move the tailbone or the head. Shift where you need to. You can explore reaching that arm above the head more than out to the side. See if that changes anything that you like in the shoulder or the armpit, the side waist. And then we'll drag that left arm back over so that you can curl in a ball on your right side for a moment and rock yourself back to neutral. We're going to pause in our neutral, taking the feet wide and let the knees come to touch for a moment. You can reach the arms above the head if you'd like to. In just a moment, we'll do another, we'll do rolling bridges before we come up to all fours just to get some motion in the spine again. Just let your spine rest. And feel free as we heel toe the feet hip width distance apart, and now I'm going to do it, to pick up your block and squeeze the block between the inner thighs. And as always, whatever arm position you want for rolling bridges, you could keep the arms down, you could lift and lower them, you could anchor the elbows. We'll squeeze the block if you got it, push the floor away with the platform of the feet, big inhale, lift, chest to the chin, and exhale, roll down. Trying to initiate this from the tailbone and then iron out the vertebrae as you come down. Just inhale and exhale. Trying to get to round 10. Maybe you want to change up the arms. Depending on your speed, 2 or 3 more. And now the next time that the hips come down, you can move the block out of the way. Feel free to windshield wiper the knees back and forth, but we'll make our way up to all fours and roll and come all the way up. And I'm going to set my blocks up towards the front end of my space. And create your all fours. And just did all that work for the shoulders. You could take the hands a little bit wider if you wanted to, and the knees a little bit wider. And a little cat-cow. Or sway the hips just to get used to being here. Okay, and then we're going to step the right foot back and shift, pushing into the heel. And pressing into the top of the left foot, lift the right leg up. You're going to actively try and kick yourself in the bottom a couple of times. And then as if you're squeezing something between the heel and your bottom, draw big circles with the knee in one direction. And then we'll go the other way. From here, and I'm going to model with my hand on their block, you'll step the right foot forward. You can tuck the tailbone as you come up to your low lunge. And tuck back and forth. When I feel the left hip anchored over that left knee. You might even want to take the feet a little bit wider. And feel free to raise the arms up or keep the hands on the hips. But just pause and notice if you're putting more pressure on the back foot or the front. Can you even out your weight distribution? And then from here, we're going to take a knee down side angle. I'm just going to push a little bit more. Oops. And what that looks like is the arms up. We'll interlace the fingers behind the head. And then take the right hand and let it rest on the thigh as you crawl the left fingertips to the right side of the skull, just like we did earlier. And using that left elbow, the whole spine opens. We're using a couple of tools we already played with. One of them is when we were taking the twist and we pressed one foot forward so that the hips move. We're doing the same thing. We're pressing that right knee forward, letting the left hip come back, and then peeling the chest open. We'll pause there if you want to unwind and check that out again, those motions, seeing how they work together. We'll lead with the elbow and turn the head so the spine comes back forward. Plant the hands into like you're pushing your back into cat. Using the core, try to lift and plant the right knee back underneath the right hip. And you can cat-cow. Sway. Then we'll move to the second side. Stepping the left foot back, shift your weight back and forth. Pushing into the top of the right foot, lift the left leg up. Try and kick yourself in the bottom. Squeezing, big circles with the left knee. And then go the other way. Either hand to the floor, left hand on the block as you step the left foot forward. Trying to square the hips before you even come up. Same thing we did earlier, left hip back, right hip forward, and then come up. Tuck the tailbone back and forth. Arms wherever you would like them. And create equal distribution of weight for a moment. Finding balance. And we'll interlace the fingers behind the skull. Shoulder blades drop down. Slide the left forearm on top of the left thigh. And as you tuck the tailbone, peeling open. For a version of knee down side angle. Crawling the fingertips around so that this spine and the neck feel okay. One more breath. We'll unwind. Plant the hands, push the ground away like cat to create space, lift, and bring the left knee underneath the hip. You can cat-cow, wave the spine, move through the neck. And then we'll curl the toes under and just reach the hips back and then reach the hands forward. You could place a block underneath the forehead or underneath the chest. Make sure the shoulders have enough room if you need to take them wider. One more big breath. And then we'll continue to sink the heels down, grip with the fingertips. You can move your block out of the way if you'd like, if you had it there, as we find our downward facing dog. Try and even out again. So you could pedal through the heels, push the hips back, let the head hang. You're welcome to drop back down onto the knees, or we're gonna look forward, and you could use a block underneath the right hand if it's there, and step the right foot forward. And feel free to tap the knee down or stay on the knee, or press and come up to your high lunge. So for sure, you're gonna need to have quite a bit of space for the hips. Take your time, play with rocking the hips back and forth so you feel even and steady. And we'll repeat, forearm on top of the thigh, grip behind the skull, and then as you're gripping behind the skull, this time the left heel is gonna turn down as well as the tailbone as we find our side angle pose. Things that you can sense for here are lengthening of the tailbone, or peeling the chest open. And now we're going to keep the legs as they are. I'm going to look about 45 degrees down. So even if you take your hand and we're going to place the left hand down. Again, block could be useful. So we're sort of reaching at a 45-degree angle, and then shifting your weight forward and back. So I'm bending and straightening my front knee. So about 4 or 5, 6 of these kind of shifts forward and back. And then one of my teachers describes this as like your top of your head is like a shower, and you're trying to make a circle. So you're just kind of forward and back, left and right, making a big circle. And then go the other way. Here we're getting both into the hips, the ankles, getting some mobility. So we walked forward and back. We made 4 or 5 different circles. And then you can bring your block with you. We're going to find triangle pose. The right hand to the floor. This time, straightening the front leg. We're going to push the ground away and open. If you like using the hand to the skull, same thing. And how can you lengthen the tailbone? So you might dramatically open the chest and lengthen the tailbone. We'll soften through the front knee and unwind. One option is to come back down, or plant the hands and step back to your downward facing dog. I just need to turn all the way around for the second side. Okay. Left foot is going to step forward if you're using the block. You've got your block there. You can step the left foot forward. Feel free to tap the right knee down and then press as you come up to your high lunge. Remembering we're doing all of this work in the hips, so if you want to heel toe the feet wider, take more space for the hips, go right ahead. When you feel even, you could interlace the fingers behind the skull first, crawling the right fingertips around to the left side, and then heel comes down 45 degrees and use that elbow to peel open. Tucking the tailbone, lengthening. One more breath in our side angle. And we'll look down about 45 degrees as you plant the right hand to the floor or blocks. And then shift your weight forward and back. Bending and straightening. Once you've done about 4 or 5 of those, just back and forth, we're going to let the head drop. And then as if you're drawing a big circle, the crown of the head. Big circles forward and back, left and right. Go the other way. We'll plant the block if you'd like the block to push the ground away, straightening the left leg or lifting to the thigh, and then opening the chest for our triangle pose. You can always still hold on to the skull, hand to the hip. That might even be useful if you're trying to figure out where the tailbone can go so that you're lengthening. And mostly the tailbone is kind of reaching towards the back heel. And we'll unwind and plant the hands. Your choice. We're going to come to the knees in just a moment if you want to press back to downward facing dog first. Just to notice what's happening in the legs and the hips. You can rock forward or drop down onto the knees. And then go ahead and swing the legs around. Okay. Putting all those pieces together can sometimes be a little shocking. I'm going to just close my window a little bit here. Right. So bring the legs out in front. I'll turn to this side. And we'll take another version of forward fold. This time, you could slip blocks or your bolster underneath the knees. And you're welcome to use your strap. One thing I like to use my strap for when I come into the forward fold is that I have a tendency to kind of pigeon toe. So it helps to remind me to flex through the pinky side or the outer edge of my foot. Okay, your knees could be bent if you wanted to. Take a nice big inhale and exhale, come forward. See if you can soften the shoulders. Maybe let the chin drop to the chest if that feels okay for the neck. And we're going to spend 8 breaths trying to expand the back side of the body. Breathing in. Feels like you're arching your back, trying to push the back of the rib cage towards the ceiling, and exhale, soften. Three more big breaths. Expanding through the shoulders, backside of the body. One more. And we'll peel ourselves up. You can move the strap out of the way. You could bring your blocks with you, planting them behind you. One option is to bend the knees and just find a knee bend, back bend. You could extend the legs into a version of fish, or squeeze the inner thighs together and point the toes. So try and squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Fingertips are towards the heels so the elbows start to squeeze towards one another, opening up across the collarbones. You can tuck the chin wherever you are, either bend the knees or slide the hips. We're going to roll back onto our backs. Once we're down, getting back into the hips. Go ahead and heel toe the left foot in line with the body, and then cross the right leg over. And if you would prefer figure four, just do figure four. That's totally fine. Or we're gonna lift and squeeze everything in with those crossed legs. Your strap is close, you could use your strap so the shoulders and the head stay in contact with the floor. And then if you're wanting to, could flex through the knees so you have a reclined Gomukhasana where the shins come parallel. But for most of us, that's going to bring the head, neck, and shoulders up. So I would recommend, if the head, neck, and shoulders are coming up, to utilize the strap. We'll unlace the legs. And between sides, unlace the legs, plant the feet, let the knees come to touch, and then cross the right arm over the left and give yourself a bit of a hug. We'll switch sides, opening the arms. Heel toe the right foot in line with the body, cross the left leg over. You can hug that leg arrangement in. Maybe if you want to hold on to the feet, hold on to the feet, or use your strap. can release the legs. And this time, the feet drop, the left arm wraps over the right. Go ahead and slide the legs out. If you want more support for the spine, you could roll off and go get your bolster or whatever you have. Setting yourself up so you can relax for the next couple of minutes. Making as much space as you need to, as many props as you want, blanket over yourself. So let the weight of the body completely melt towards the floor. It could be useful to identify everything that's in contact with the floor so that you know where you're getting heavier. Back of the head, shoulders, spine, hips, legs, heels. And then once you feel like your body is in the right spot, and you can always wiggle and move, of course. Start to identify the cool breath in and the warm breath out. And see if you can focus just on point between the eyebrows, sort of in the middle of the forehead. Creating a softness there. Just enjoying the cool air traveling in and the warm air exiting. When you're ready, begin to feel the weight of the body on the floor again, maybe wiggle and stretch. Slide the heels in. however you want to wake your body up. And you could close your practice on your back or come up to a seat. Rolling, reaching, and maybe just take the hands on the body in a way that feels good for you as a gesture of gratitude for yourself, for working with your brain and body. Gratitude as we got to share this practice together. Acknowledgement and gratitude for these tools and traditions we're privileged to be able to work with. Thanks for joining. Great to see you. Have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, Kate.
Oh, yeah.
Take care.
You too. Thank you. See you soon. See you next week.